So basically last time, we have already added images to our shopping cart, and we have already also able to add um, the details of our products. Now, for this session, what we're going to do is we're going to already to create something which is uh, will enable us to purchase on our shopping cart. So, but the very first thing that we need to do is we need to create first our table, wherein that's where we're going to store all of the purchases made. So I've already opened my shopping cart tables, as you can see. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to add another table. So let's try to create a table called transactions. Now for this table, we'll only have four. Let's try to add later if we still needed something. Okay, so let's try to click to go. Now, so let's try to add here ID 255. Again, this will be used for our primary key. So index primary auto. Okay, go. Then try to set it to AI. Then we have here members ID. Okay. Then products ID. Then let's also try to add quantity. Okay. So all of these, by the way, is actually int. Um, Now, there seems to be something missing on our table. Okay, so let's try to add another column. Okay, let's try to click go. Then let's try to add total price. Okay, for total price, we're going to use this time double. Okay. Then for length or values, we can just try to leave it as is later. We can just try to leave it for the meantime as is. Then we'll try to modify it later. Okay, so you have your total price, and let's just try to click save. So a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tables have already been made. Now, for products, okay, let's try to go to products. This is our products. Now, for price, as you can see, you have their decimal places. Okay, let's try to select structure. Now, as you've noticed, you have their decimal 10, comma 2. So that will also be the same attributes for our transactions. Okay. Okay, I'm going to click again transactions here, then structure. Okay. Then try to change. Double length values 10, comma 2. Okay. Then let's try to click save. Okay, so already here 10 comma 2. That's for our transactions total price. But we still need to add another table. Okay, so let's try to add click 1. Then we have here status. Okay, then click save. Now, what is the purpose? Okay, let's try to click browse. Okay, so there's no need for us to click browse. Now, for status, by the way, what's the purpose of status? Now, basically for status, if let's say, for example, pending status means that by default it's 0. Then once it's already delivered, let's try to set it to 1. Okay, so we'll only have it both ways. So we have only 1 and 0. Okay, 1 for delivered or finished transaction, then 0 if it's still pending. We'll also try to display it later into our admin. Okay, now let's try this time to go to our shopping cart. Okay, so try to click here 7 up. Okay, so this is the as you can see, I've created this one last time. Then I've added also the image. Then we have here price. Then we have here remaining 100. Then we also have here add to cart. Okay, so let's try this time to click. Let's try to add click add to cart, but it's still not yet working. So what we're going to do is let's try to add code into our shopping cart. So let's try to go to product.details.php. Okay, we have this is our products.details.php. Now, we have here button we have here class warning, button warning, and so on. So this is actually our button wherein for this one we're going to click. Okay, so since basically What we need to do is we can only add products to our cart if the user has logged in. So let's try to check. Now again, we'll try to use this one. Okay, so if not empty, session ID. Let's try to close. Okay. So if session is empty, or if session is not empty, then what we can do is we can actually click this button, or we'll display this button. Okay, let's try to reload. Now as you can see, it's already hidden. Okay, let's try to change something. Okay, this is for our image card body. Okay, so let's try to add here text center, if it's going to. Okay, so we align it to center. Okay, so that it will look better. Okay, so we have here price 200, remaining 100. Okay, now okay, let's try to click else. Okay, instead of using button, what we can do is basically try to use, or yeah, we can use actually button. Okay, then also try to add our JavaScript code, script language, JavaScript, script. Okay, so we have here or we can actually just try to delete this part. Try to delete this one so that our code will be a lot cleaner and a lot shorter. So we have here ID. Okay, what we need to do, hashtag button login dot on. Okay, so window dot location. Okay, for window dot location, let's try to check. Okay, let's try to add another file called transactions.php. So I'm going to click file, then new. I'm going to click file and save as. Okay, so transactions.php. Okay, so that's where all of the transactions will be processed. Now let's go back here again. Product details. So we have here transactions.php. Then we have here product ID is equals to get I can do something like that. Echo. Okay. So let's try to see what the variable is. Okay, so you have your product ID 12. Then product ID. Okay. So let's try to make this one small single quote. Okay. Go back here. Okay. Still we still cannot see. It's because we still have it logged in. Now I'll try to go back to home. Okay, let's try to add here test at domain.com, then password 12345. Then we'll also try to change this one later. We'll try to mask this one out. Then try to click login. Okay, you have successfully logged in. Now we have here welcome Michael to your dashboard. Okay, then we can go to home. Click this item. Then as you can see, we already have here add to cart. Okay, we also have here our transaction. Okay, so that's transactions.page. We'll try to change it later. Okay, so we have here add to cart. We can actually already add to cart. Now, okay, if you're going to click add to cart, okay, so we are going being redirected to transaction.php. Okay, so we have it here already. Okay. So this will actually be our process. This file, or let's try to rename this one into transactions.process or process.transactions.php. Okay, I'm going to rename this one, right? Or we can just try to leave it as is so that it, okay, let's try to change it to process.transactions.php. Okay, so open. Uh, since this file will actually be the one that's going to process our transactions. Okay, so we have your process the transactions at PHP. Then let's try to go to our product details. We also try to change this one. Process the transactions at PHP. Okay, just to click back. And click add to cart. Okay, so we have here process transaction at PHP. So basically what this the transactions at PHP will do is it will actually process the purchases made by the user. Okay, so let's try to add this time. Okay, product registration. Let's just try to copy the code. Okay, I'm going to copy. Okay, so there connect. Then so let's try to copy this part. Okay, SQL Insert. So the name of the table that we're going to use is transactions. So I have to click the pass so that we can actually see the fields. Okay, so we have there transactions. Then we only need to insert the following fields. So for the password, we don't need the password. What we basically need is members ID. Products ID. Then for quantity, we can just actually leave it one. Okay, so every time the user purchases something, it can only be one purchase at a time. Okay, but if let's say for example the user wanted to have multiple items, then the user can actually purchase it several times. Okay, quantity, last name, then okay, so that's it. Okay, so we also need to add total price. Okay, so we have how many columns? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. But before that, we also need to check if the item is actually empty or not. Okay, so how do we do that? We can again copy this part. Okay, process transactions. That's SQL check. We have here select count ID, CTR from members where it's select count CTR. Okay, so to use products where ID is equals to question mark. Okay, then we have here get, then product ID. Okay, so to check the spelling. Transactions, no. Okay, so we have your product details. Okay, so we have your product ID, small letters, this one. Okay, process transaction, okay, get, SQL check. Okay, so we can actually redirect it again here. So if if item or if counter is less than or equals to 0, then we can have it here header location okay, go back here. What's the file name? Product details, product details. Okay, product.details.php, product ID is equals to dot get product ID. Okay, then exit. Okay. If counter is less than or equal to 0, or let's say also to add another field. This is CTR. Okay, go back here. So for products, let's try to open our products, the columns. So we have here quantity or quantity, or let's try to call this one as text. Quantity is less than yeah, text quantity. We can just try to leave it as is. Since basically we only have we will only be using one transaction at a time. Okay, if it's 0, okay, then we can no longer purchase. We can no longer add to our cart. Okay. Otherwise, you can actually do this one. So, CTR, okay. We also have here CTR. We bind the results here. Next is this one. Okay. So, otherwise, you can insert transactions. Okay. So, again, let's just try to copy this part. Okay. So, SQL Insert connection. So, we have here members ID. Okay, this is actually stored into our session. ID. Then we have products ID. Okay, we can actually copy this part. Then quantity. Okay, for quantity, as I said, we can only purchase one at a time. Let's try to add another field. Let's try to call this. Okay, we can just try to leave it as is. Product ID. So email address, we don't need this one. Email address, bind param s. Okay, so should also, I went back actually to checking of items. We have your ID, then call this one as ID. Okay. Okay. Your product ID and so on. Okay, quantity 1. Now, this is the time that we can actually execute the statement. So we have here, so let's just try to change. Okay, but we also need to get, by the way, the name of the price of the item. Okay, so let's try to create a variable called text price. Here, have it 0. Statement check. If there's CTR price. Okay. Then what we can do is you can actually add it here. Price. You need to bind the results. Okay, so text price is equals to dollar price, which will be coming from the database. Okay, so next thing that we can do is we can multiply. Okay, so we have your total price is equals to quantity multiplied by text price. Okay. So we are 1. This is only 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's double. So you have there okay, buying the results. So products, quantity, and last your total price. Okay. So that's it. So we are next going to execute the query. Okay, we can just try to delete this part. Now once it has already been executed, okay, we also need to update our products table. Okay. So since basically no input from the user will happen, what we can do is we can just select update SQL update quantity. Okay. So update products set okay. So let's try to do this one. Okay, we also need to get a quantity, by the way. Okay, going to go back here. Text quantity again 0. The result, try to bind the result. Okay, so price, then we have here quantity. Okay, so statement check bind results. Okay, we'll be checking it out later if we made a mistake here somewhere here. Excuse it. Okay. Bind the results. Okay, let me just try to check first. Okay, that's it. Try to check it later, or we can actually just check it later. Quantity. So what we can do next is try to create a variable. Put a comment here. Try to make this one as set quantity equals to, try to create a variable called new quantity where id is equals to get product id. Okay, now for new quantity, what we can basically do is quantity. Yeah. So we have it here. Okay, text price. MySQL fetch. Okay, so we have here text quantity equals to quantity. Okay. So we have here text quantities equals to text quantity minus quantity. Okay, then we can just execute the query. MySQL query. Okay, SQL quantity. Okay, we also need to add the link, which is con. Okay. Then, okay, you can add identifier here. QRY update QTY is equals to okay. If query again, we can just copy this part. Try to put exit. Okay. So basically this is it. Okay, so let's try this time if it's going to work. Now, the logic behind this is the first thing that we need to do is we need to get the total number of products by checking by adding it in counter, or by using by counting the ID or rows returned. Then we have here products. Okay, do we need to do that? Okay, let me just try to check first the logic. I don't think we need this one. We don't need counter. What we can basically do for CTR is if it's, we can just try to add quantity. Okay. So if quantity is less than or equals to 0, we didn't delete this one. We can just try to use it later. So if quantity is less than or equals to 0, then we will be redirected here. Okay. Otherwise, this will be executed at the bottom. Now, let's try this time to execute the query. Okay, so we already have it here. Then try to reload the page. Okay, unknown argument error. The number of elements type line 13. Okay, so we generated our first error, line 13. So we have here ID. String must be binded. Bind param. Okay, let's try to check bind param. Okay, so I added here ID. So it should be I for int. Okay, try to reload again. Okay. Now, as you've noticed, a while ago this was 100, and right now we have 99. Okay, let's try to check if it's being inserted into our transaction table. Okay, reload the page. Okay, so it's empty. There's some issues, by the way, when we try to insert. Okay, so there's some issues somewhere here. Okay, so transactions was not actually processed properly. So we'll try to check where it was, where did we made the mistake. MySQL prepare, MySQL bind param, MySQL insert, product, session ID. Okay, let's try to add here exit first, so that the rest of the code will not be executed. Okay, I'm going to back here again. Okay. Okay, we have here undefined variable $session. Okay, so session was not actually executed. So we have here session start, process that login, product details. So we didn't actually add the session. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy, then add it here. Okay, then again try to reload the page. Okay, try to reload, browse. Okay, so we already have it here. Status 0, 1, 1, 1. Okay, so it should be that our products is 98. So it's still currently 99. Okay, let's try to reload the page again. Okay, so it should be inserting. Okay, so we're able to insert. This is 7up, browse. Okay, so it's because we did not execute. We tried to put exit here. Now, okay, let's try to clear. So let's just try to truncate. Okay, I'm going to delete these 2 rows. Delete. I'm going to edit the quantity here again. Edit 100. Click go. Okay, then try to reload the page. Okay, so you should have 99. Okay, browse, inserted already. Then Browse again. Here you have 99. Okay. So we're on the right track. Now, let's try to click this time transactions. Okay, transactions is currently empty. Okay. Okay, so what we can do this time, okay, so since we're at users, or let's just try to delete transactions. Okay, main navigation, okay, register here, navigation. I'm just going to delete transactions and let's try to put it into our, okay, instead of transactions, by the way, I'm going to change it to dashboard. Okay, same also with this one. So transactions is already dashboard. So basically what we need, what we're going to do is we're going to, uh, okay, I'm going to click here. Every time I'm going to click dashboard, I will be redirected here and I will be showing all of my products here, all of my purchases. Okay, I'm also going to delete the file called transactions. Where is it? So still don't have any transactions. We just deleted. Okay, let's try to go to our dashboard this time. Okay. Now, go back here to our admin. Site to open products. Okay. Again, we can just copy paste this part. Close products. Let's try to go to, let's try this time to paste it here. Okay. Table strip. So action, product name, categories, price, quantity. Instead of actions, try to call this one as status. Again, this is actually just a uh, this actually cannot, we cannot, I'm going to do this one in such a way that it be easy for you guys. I will not be adding something, a feature called, let's say for a feature called, we can still return the product. Basically what we can do is we can just purchase the product. Okay, so, excuse me, so we have here select PR, category from products, PR. Okay, we'll try to use also another join. Okay, join. Okay, let's try to use our MySQL. Go back here to our transactions. SQL. Okay, select from str where members ID is equals to maybe 1. Okay, so to use also joins. We'll be using joins. Join members on should I put an alias as me on me dot id is equals to tr dot members id. Join products as pr on pr dot id is tr dot products at id where me.members at id. So basically what we are going to do is we're just going to get all of the products purchased by that particular member. Then we also have here join categories as ca on ca dot id equals to pr dot category id. So okay, try to copy this, try to copy here. Okay, Let's also try to get um tr dot quantity, tr dot total price. Or we can actually just get, yeah, we can do something like that. Okay, let's try it. I'm just going to copy, then try to click go. Okay, there's an error into our unknown column me, not members ID. me.id. Okay, go. Okay, so we only have it here. Okay, so that's it. So show query box. Okay, so this is correct. Our query is correct actually. So let's try this time to add where id dot session. Okay, so let me just try to arrange this part. Okay, go back here, try to reload the page. Okay, so that's it. Product name, welcome Michael Jordan to your dashboard. So we have here, okay, we don't need this part. Okay, so we don't need actually this part. Okay, then what we can do again is we can actually echo set. We'll try to set the status. Echo their status get product status. Okay, try to check if it's going to work. If status is equals to 0, pending delivered. Okay, so that's our status. Okay, let's have to go back here, reload the page, and define RD key status. Okay, go back here. So to go back here with your status, transaction status. It's because we didn't actually add this one. So we have here tr dot status. Back here again, reload the page. Okay, so we have here pending. Text and we don't want it. Okay. So that's it. We have here our pending status, quantity 1, price. Okay, let's try to call this one as unit price. Then we have your quantity. Okay. Then okay, let's try to make this one 10, 10, 10, 10. Okay. We have here total price. Now for total price, what we can do, okay, get products quantity, then multiply with price. Okay, reload. Okay, total price 1. Okay, so we have here try to arrange also our data. We can also use number format. Now we normally use number format if we wanted to add decimal places. So 2. Try to reload the page. So we have here 2. Okay, let's try to add some more product. Total product. Okay, we also need to change this part. Total product purchases, products. Okay. Okay. So to click home. Okay, I'm going to purchase Angelina wheat bread. To click add to cart. Okay, there's no prompt whatsoever. So what we can do is we can actually redirect it to our dashboard. So we have here 2. Okay, so let's try to redirect it to our dashboard. Okay, let's try to go back to our process the transactions. So instead of okay, at the bottom here, instead of redirecting it here, let's try to redirect it to our dashboard. So dashboard.php. Okay, let's try to check. Okay, I'm going to click home. Payless. Okay, there's no image whatsoever. We have price and we have remaining. Okay, let's try to click add. Okay, we have an error. Okay, that's it. Reload the page. So, okay, let's also try to add our, okay, so that's it. So we have your pending. As what I've said, we just have to copy all of these things, or we are just going, not a copy, but we are just going to have it something like this. We are not going to add, okay, let's try to add this time our total purchases so that at least it's going to be something new for everyone. I'm going to move this part here as well as the status. Total products, okay. We can just try to go back. Okay, so that's it. We can just try to leave it as is. So that's already our purchases. So right now for our items, you can already purchase, and we can already set the status of our item. So we can already set or we can already purchase at the same time. Also, we can already see all of the purchases that we have made. So for our last, by the way, session in terms of our shopping cart, what we're going to do is we're just going to approve the pending status, and at the same time also we'll try to do something with our admin part. Okay, we'll be modifying our admin part a little bit, especially when it comes to status, displaying of total purchases, displaying of members, and so on. So that's it.